Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Lois Tucker Keating, and I'm pleased to be speaking to you on the topic of Embrace the Journey, motivational mantras to propel your rebuilding process. I'll tell you about how I've used mantras, sayings to propel me from deep grief to start to rebuild my life after the loss of my husband, Paul. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background, what motivational mantras are, and how I use them in my life, and how you can too. They really helped me in my darkest days of grief to get through, and I'll share my experience and strength and some hope about how these tools can be used to give you a boost for your rebuilding process. So sit back and relax. If you have sticky notes and a pen, you may find an opportunity to use those as we go through my session. I'm going to apologize in advance. Spring has sprung here in Mississauga in the suburbs of Toronto, and my allergies are getting the best of me. But like life, I'm going to truck on through and fake it till I make it. There you go. One of my most used and personal favorite mantras. Fake it till you make it. Also, I'm just going to say, please bear with me. This is the first time I've done this session, and I'm going to refer to my notes. So progress, not perfection, is my goal. There you go. Another mantra we'll talk about. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in St. John's, Newfoundland in Canada, which is a small island in the North Atlantic Ocean. It is as far east as you can go in Canada and North America. Tucker is my maiden name, and Keating is my last name, my married name. I went to university in Nova Scotia at Dalhousie University, and then after that, I moved to the big city of Toronto to pursue my dream to work as a professional actor. And I did. Like most folks, I had a day job as well, but things were going really good. I went home to the Rock, as it's called, Newfoundland, and met my husband, Paul, at my best friend's wedding. He was funny, handsome, smart. We had the best time, and we began dating long distance. He worked out west in Alberta, and I lived in Ontario. Paul had a Superman tattoo, and he thought that he had found his Lois Lane. Things kept progressing, and we got engaged in 2005, bought a house in the suburbs in 2006. We got married in 2007. We even had a Superman-themed wedding. That's another story. We got pregnant in 2008 and had our daughter in 2009. It was really a bit of a fairy tale romance, and 6 months later, he was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Back to before diagnosis. When my daughter was born, I definitely had some terrible postpartum depression, but our daughter was perfect, and I got treated right away, and we got over that hurdle pretty quick in a few months, and things were really looking like they were back on track. But then Paul started to forget things, but like everyone, we thought it was new baby stress, and then he thought maybe he had hurt his arm at work. It wasn't quite right. He went for some tests, and they found that he had an inoperable brain tumor. The standard of care, we began treating to buy time. Most people we met through the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada in our local support group made it through the first year and went on a big trip. Sadly, ours didn't work out that well, and when our daughter was 18 months, he passed away. He died, dead. All my hopes and dreams were dead, and I had no idea how I was going to continue. But like most people, I had promised Paul that I would take care of my daughter and that he had nothing to worry about. Well, my widowhood journey began. If you've been through this, you know it is not easy. I was 35 and my daughter was a year and a half, and I had to keep going. I planned to stay in our dream home in the suburbs of Toronto, and I wanted to raise my daughter and live the life that we had planned. I put my acting career on hold, another secondary loss, and embraced my day job and worked so hard to turn it into a successful career, which I did. As a software tester, a test manager, and now I work as an IT strategist in the HR benefits and pension space. Work was a really great way to get through grief for me. I didn't know how hard it was going to be before it happened, but it was really rough, as I'm sure you guys all know. I often refer to times in my life as times before Paul, times with Paul, and times after Paul. So today's topic is Embrace the Journey, motivational mantras to propel your rebuilding process. I'm going to talk about how I have used motivational mantras and sayings throughout my life and the role that they played, and how I use them to help propel me into rebuilding my life after loss. I have a handful of sayings that I use all the time, and they really became a strategy for me when all my hopes and dreams were dead. I use the mantras, you can tell I'm from Newfoundland, the mantras to reintegrate into my life. In times, I learned to rebuild a life that was really worth getting out of bed for. These strategies have helped me not only to get out of bed, but help me raise my daughter, help me build a new career, help me find hope. They really keep me going when I really didn't want to keep going. One saying even helped me become my own cheerleader. If they worked for me, maybe they'll work for you, and they can help you manage your feelings, build your confidence, build your confidence in this life that you really didn't plan for, and find some hope where where there may be little or no hope in your life. I had no hope after Paul died, but now things have changed with time and finding some strategies along the way. So, what are mantras? The definition, according to vocabulary.com, is a mantra is a motivational chant like, I think I can, I think I can. You repeat it over and over to yourself on the last stretch of every marathon you run. A mantra is usually any repeated word or phrase, but it can also refer more specifically to a word repeated in meditation. And mantra comes from a Sanskrit word meaning a sacred message or text, charm, spell, or counsel. I also pulled the definition of a slogan from the Oxford Dictionary online. A slogan is a short and striking or memorable phrase used in advertising, a motto associated with a political party or movement or other group. For my purpose today, a mantra is a saying or slogan. It's a succinct saying or phrase you repeat to help build confidence, take action, and find acceptance. I will add here that you can read about mantras in a religious and meditation context. There are a lot of materials on this subject, but my focus is not in that area. If this interest if this is of interest to you, there's a lot of information out there about mantras and chants and meditation, and I encourage you to look into it. I'm not covering this topic today, but if you find something that you think relates to my topic on that in this area, I would love to hear about it. Have you ever repeated a mantra or saying as part of a religious ceremony or meditation? How did that make you feel? Think about that. Okay. How did I embrace mantras and slogans before grief? Before Paul, times before Paul, and all along the way in my life, there were challenges and struggles for sure. Life wasn't totally perfect, but nothing was so severe as this widowhood. But regular life, work, family relationships, all can have challenges. When I was acting and I wasn't sure how I was going to perform the way I needed to, I would say to myself, fake it till you make it. I would suck it up and put on whatever act I needed to get through my performance or situation. It really helped get me in the mindset I needed. I have read a lot of motivational books along the way, even before widowhood, and there were always people telling me to display notes on your mirror to help yourself train your thoughts and get a positive mindset to embrace the mantra. Anything really to help keep a positive frame of mind for whatever tapes or stream of consciousness was going through my mind. I don't know about you, but there is a constant flow of information going through my mind. Many times, saying these mantras worked for me in these normal life situations. Paul even gave me some motivational fridge magnets to help. So mantras were a part of my life. I just didn't really realize it or talk about it until recently. My fridge and my filing cabinet have mantras and sayings on them. Do you have any posted around your house? When all my hopes and dreams were dead, and I was heading into work after dropping my daughter at daycare in the early years of grief, I didn't know how things would work out at all. But I knew I had to keep putting one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. Paul, too, had a few mantras when we got together. Play to win stuck, and we used this through his illness. This became our family motto. I remember him saying when we were just getting married and starting our life together that we were going to leave nothing on the field, so to speak, and that we were going to play to win at marriage. This is my most favorite mantra, and it's a beautiful gift from Paul that keeps giving. Thinking way back, though, one of the first mantras I learned was from elementary school. I think I can. I think I can. Remember the little train that could? Do you have a mantra or a slogan or saying that you use to get through a tough time or a challenging situation before grief? If you did, how did it help? So, how mantras propelled me to rebuild post loss and over time? Like I said, my thoughts were very dark in early widowhood, but I did things that were recommended in early grief: find a grief group, get a grief counselor, build a support network with friends and family. I learned to ask for help when I needed it, even when I didn't want to. It was really important to get support, but at the end of the day, it was really just me and my daughter at home. And I promised Paul that I would do my best to find a way to start living and finding acceptance. I didn't have enough to hope to think that there could be joy in this life, but I knew I had to find a way to become my own cheerleader. So I am so glad for the people that had hope for me in the early days when I definitely had none. If you're in those early days, you're really not alone. I was there too. Paul, he was my number one cheerleader. He got me, he supported me, he was my soulmate, he was my person. He left a really big hole in my life, and I needed to find some ways to fill the gaps in order to survive, in order to have a life that I wanted to live. I'm not saying that friends and family and outside sports don't help, they do, but sometimes there are times when you're alone, and I needed to support myself. Mantras took on a more active role in those days as I read more widow books about how to thrive, how to get through the building a daily routine I could keep doing when the days were so long. I started to need and eventually want more out of my life than just the daily grind. Some early mantras or sayings I used during Paul's illness and early grief weren't really that positive. Brain tumors suck. I think I had to censor it, so I did. I used it to acknowledge that a lot of things about the journey just sucked. It helped me feel like I could be in the moment, and it helped with acceptance. But just saying that things sucked, uh, it was good for the moment, but it wasn't propelling me forward in my rebuilding process. But it was definitely good at the time to have something that I could say to punctuate and accentuate or talk about how I was feeling. Can you relate? What do you say to yourself in your self talk? Uh, what do you say to yourself when you're under stress? If you speak to yourself in a negative way, find some simple ways, and I'm talking really simple ways, you can be positive and find something positive you can say to yourself. A repetitive phrase, and maybe not even positive, neutral, just not negative tone, something in a neutral or positive tone will be more helpful for you than a negative one in the long run. But I think there's some times when this thing can really work. Do you think a mantra could be helpful now in your grief or post loss? Do you think mantras are hokey? You're definitely not alone in that. Some people think this is just a crock, but I find it works for me, so I'll keep going. Even if you think they're hokey, stick with me because I got some ideas for that. What kind of mantra works best? A mantra has to be simple and short, and it needs to feel neutral or positive. If you have any negative feelings about the saying, for sure put it aside and come back to it. Or as I like to say, put it in a box. Mantras don't have to be unique. Just Do It by Nike. That got me through years of high school and university. Remember when that one came out? I use that one when I have an action I want to take, but I feel stuck. So I'll be like, Lois, just do it. Just do it. It can feel super corny to do that. And it also is super corny when people say the answers are inside you. This may or may not be true, but I'm going to try to keep an open mind. But I think they might be right, whoever they are. How can I discover the mantras in my life? So, discover mantras that are already a part of your life. Spend some time and see if your friends or your family have sayings that you find helpful. If not, I read a lot of books. My favorite books had different sayings and mantras in them, and see if there are any favorite sayings in your favorite commercials, radio shows, or podcasts. Any kind of media or social media, there's lots of ways to find them. Also, another way to find your mantra or build on it is affirmations or vision boards are great tools to help you find a motto that works for you. A good mantra will activate you and it will help you think happier thoughts. Sometimes I'll even focus on something random and positive to find a mantra, and they come up at the silliest times. They can be funny too. As I worked through early grief, when I was using brain tumors suck, I started to find some things that didn't actually suck so bad. Sometimes things went from not totally sucking and became actually enjoyable. Enjoyable. See what I did there? There's joy in that word, in enjoyable. I found that finding the things that didn't suck and actually gave me a little bit of joy or pleasure helped. This is a strategy a lot of people talk about. I found these things and tried to do more of them. One example, I went through a finding my joy through Zumba phase where I did a lot of Zumba. Uh, I got really into it. I became a licensed Zumba instructor just because I wanted to, and that it actually made me feel good. There were so many few things that actually where I felt good because things were so hard and so sad. So if it gives you any joy or peace or contentment or happiness, find them and do it. Find them and do more of them. Also, find the sayings that really help you pick yourself up and help you alter your mood or are helping you get through a tough moment or situation when it's happening. Mantras are taglines for your life. They can be headlines for your story. There are a lot of resources online or in the world to find mantras and slogans, but I say just find one already in your life that's meaningful to you. And if the saying jazzes you up, even better. Listen to what you and the people around you say to encourage and support you. Usually, a mantra can be found there. Other places that you could look to find mantras and slogans are self help literature, meditation books, meditation groups, and groups that focus on self care or self improvement. Okay, let's talk about some examples of mantras that you might find. I can do it, one day at a time. Live and let live. You got this. Progress, not perfection. Go live or go home. This was one that I came up with for a work setting. Some keys to good mantras. Okay, a good mantra is memorable, and it reinforces a principle or concept and is a positive affirmation. And they also promote camaraderie between the users, and they can give you simple guidance. So if you're looking for one, think about those things. Mantras can help reframe your negative thoughts, and they can help you focus to be in the present moment. Because when you're saying a mantra, you're not thinking about the future or other things. By repeating mantras, you can rewire your thinking and patterns in your brain and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Simple mantras are also easily accessible for all types of people and backgrounds, and hearing and repeating slogans can offer yourself reassurance and motivation. Mantras are definitely not a replacement for professional supports or services or a grief group, but in addition, you can add to your collection of tools and strategies that you use to feel better in tough situations. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, getting to feel a little bit better. You are not alone. There you go. There's another one. Fill your mind with thoughts that are not the dark depths of despair and grief. That can be really hard when that's all you feel and see. But just find some things and try it. Mantras can take up some of the space where the darkness sits. Okay, so a little bit more about how mantras can propel you uh, and how do they work for you. So, like I said, they can really help you build your confidence. And this is in the rebuilding. They can help fill in a void. Like I said, there was a big hole in my life. Mantras can bring you right back into the current moment in your body and in with your voice. They can help you feel more calm and feel at ease. So I'll use play to win, my favorite saying from Paul. This he used to say this when he was cheering me on. And now that he's not here, I use it and I feel like I can hear him cheering me on, but I'm cheering myself on. And I know he's here with me too, but it doesn't feel so empty, and I can use it as a way to also feel connected to him. Um, my friends would use these sayings in my life, and not that long ago on my social media, a friend out of the blue, who's not super close, but has heard me say the saying and heard me seen me post it, um, randomly sent me a play to win Toronto Blue Jays fridge magnet. So when she saw that, she thought of the saying and she thought of me. So she said it was really inspiring and that she uses it now too. Um, so without even knowing it, I was inspiring others with my sayings, even though I'm just kind of using it to get through my life. Anyway, people are out there using it, and if it works for you, you can use it too. There are different situations call for different types of sayings. So play to win would be different than maybe fake it till you make it. Those are kind of similar. Go live or go home. That's something that I use when I'm like, hyping up a project at work. Okay, so how are you going to put these mantras into place in your day to day so that they can actually start helping you rebuild? When you have a saying you want to try, put it on paper. Put it on your mirror, put it on your coffee pot. I think over here you can see I have some in the background. Um, Seeing them and looking at them, you're going to start using them, saying them. It'll help you reframe and rebuild your day in a different perspective. You're going to build new associations with the saying. And it's a bit like setting a mini intention for yourself. Have you ever repeated a mantra or saying as a way to help or support yourself? Okay. Have you ever written a sticky and posted it for yourself to see? If not, will you try it out? Don't know what to write? Pick one from my session and try it out. It might sound hokey, but just give it a try. Surround yourself with reminders of your chosen sayings, such as sticky notes, posters, digital wallpapers on your computer or your phone, and this will help reinforce their message and keep them at the top of your mind. My mind, widow brain, for a while, I couldn't remember anything from one moment to the next, so the reminders were super helpful. And as we know, grief is not really a linear process, and there's going to be ups and downs along the way. During difficult moments, you can lean on your motivational sayings for strength and guidance. Over time, you're going to begin to notice that they have some transformative power in these motivational sayings. And you might be actually starting to rebuild some hope and some joy and some contentment, maybe acceptance. They can help you build resilience. My other favorite one is fall down 9 times, get up 10. Being resilient is super helpful. It's also going to help you adapt to change because things will keep changing. And you'll get to start to find some purpose in the midst of all the adversity that's been thrown at you. Here's another one. Share your journey with your trusted friends, family members, or support groups, right? So connect with others when you use your sayings. Connecting with others who've had a similar experience can provide comfort, validation, and a sense of community. Integrate your mantras and sayings into your life. So as you use them with your friends, you can add them to your email signature or in your messages, or you can post them on social media, any way you're interacting to kind of keep them as a part of your life. Use visual displays. And so you can use more of your senses, like notes, posters, screensavers, like I said, maybe bulletin boards, your fridge, mirror, coffee pot, mugs, anything that you're kind of interacting with in your house or at your work in a daily basis. Thinking back to how I used them back in the day, during university, I had a big poster in my room that was like, I am okay. That was my mantra. And it was really pretty and visually appealing. When you do something that works for you, celebrate your success. It's important to acknowledge as you start to rebuild that you are rebuilding and things are starting to change in your process as you go through. I have one friend who every time she sees this particular saying I use, they take a picture and they send it to me. It's definitely fun, but it's also reassuring that I'm on the right track and that I'm not alone. Any forward movement is worth celebrating. Be your own cheerleader. Cheer for yourself. Okay, what if you don't believe in the power of the mantra? Maybe you got this far and you're like, I'm not putting a post-it note on my mirror or my coffee pot. Well, you know what I'm going to say to you? Fake it till you make it. You can also take what you like and leave the rest. If it's not for you, like the internet, scroll on by. Do something that is working for you. These are just one strategy in a sea of lots of different strategies to help you rebuild your process and embrace your journey, right? Starting to embrace it and find some good feelings. If something else is doing that for you, do that. You could also just try one out and see if it helps. If it doesn't, move on. Don't get stuck. Though I will say, you don't have to believe it to just try it. I also found this true of a gratitude practice, starting to say, I was grateful for different things on different days with practice and time. That really made a difference too. Okay, let's talk back about the negative and positive sayings and transforming negative ones to positive ones. Mantras can have negative and positive meanings. So, brain tumors suck. I use this one a lot, and I used it definitely in my angry phase of grief. And know that that comes and goes, right? Uh, you can go through an angry time, then have some acceptance, and then later someone will activate you and you'll be angry again. But using that saying, it brought some humor to my day. And, I could use to smile and laugh. The illness and the death was so dark. And speaking about it in a humorous way really helped me not take things so serious. And then when I'm also angry, Paul had a saying that was, or frig this crap. That's what I'll use as my censored version of that. But, oh, did you see that? He would say, F it. Um, if things were getting me down and it wasn't important. So that's another one. And it still makes me laugh to this day, but it's also a good point of view because I take things way too seriously sometimes. Do you have a funny mantra that makes you laugh? Do you have a sad one? Do you have an angry one? So there can be positive and negative takes on some of them, like I said. So use what works for you. But if you find it's bringing you down, try something else. The goal in grief for me was to really feel my feelings and not run away from them. But at some point, I had enough. And I didn't want to stay in the dark place for days and weeks on end. Glimmers. I started to want to find some glimmers, just little sparks of life. Um, and so these things help with that. An attitude of all or nothing can really be something that you might encounter, and it can be really tough. Trying to see the hope was good, and it was a goal I needed because I really couldn't see any. Um, I'll also say that it took longer than I thought it would. So don't beat yourself up for how long things take, but just keep trying. One brick at a time, build your life. The days are short. No, the days are long, but the years are short. So just one thing at a time. And then just remember also progress, not perfection. If you're still moving forward or toward, then that's really the goal. I really wanted to just keep living, even when it was so hard. And moving forward or me moving toward my goal uh, really helped me live a fuller life and eventually thrive. Thriving was very far from the early days of grief. There was no thriving, there was surviving. Eat, sleep, work, my daughter, repeat. It was very basic for a long time. But eventually, thriving became more part of my daily routine. Grief comes in bursts. And so saying the mantras, they can be helpful with the ups and downs and those terrible, no good, very bad days, if you read that book. Having these saying handy made me feel like I had something to cling to in the moment when things weren't going great. Uh, and if you have it on a piece of paper, you can actually hold it in your hand or put it in your pocket. But just in my mind, I found I could just cling to the saying and repeat it, and it gave me some comfort. Positive people have positive sayings. So finding people that can inspire you on your journey is important. And some things that'll resonate for me won't resonate for you, but find the ones that work for you. Do you have a negative mantra or saying? How can you turn it into a positive? Can you replace it with something more neutral or something more positive? Okay. Let me tell you about using mantras in my real life post loss. So, when I was widowed, I was 35, and I did a group at Wellspring, our local cancer community center. And out of the 10 of us, there was one other person who was under 50. The rest were totally over 60. So, I didn't feel I could relate in many ways. My friend from that group and I, who was under 50, became each other's lifeline. I attended another group and found a few more people between 40 and 50, but none with young kids like me. And so I was having hard making connections. I also, at that time, didn't connect to the parents and kids grief groups because my daughter was too little for those resources. Nonetheless, I kept going and I kept looking, and love never dies. My love for Paul continues. When I was 8 years out, so 8 years post loss, I'd really stopped looking for resources. I actually found Soaring Spirits International and Camp Widow. Even though I'd stopped looking for resources, I just happened upon this group in a local community Facebook group. Uh, and it turned out there's a group not far from where I live. So I attended the local regional group and my first camp, and there I actually met many other widows just like me with young children, some whose husbands also even had brain tumors. I really found my people. As a side note to that, I really believe in their mission and I started volunteering with them during the pandemic. And this group has lots of great sayings. My first camp, there was this giant sign that said, "Hope matters," and "Long live love." I definitely upgraded my "Love never dies" in favor of "Long live love." My daughter. So as my daughter grew, she started to learn sayings and mantras from me because I'm using them in my daily life and I say them all the time. Her grade 8 quote in her at the end of the year, unbeknownst to me, was "fake it till you make it." So she quoted my phrase. Apparently, when you use these sayings, they rub off on people. And apparently, she uses it all the time to help her with tough situations. There's a couple that didn't work out so well. So when she was little, I used the saying, "You can't always get what you want." I would sing it to her. She would sing it as she learned about sharing and boundaries and limits. Uh, Really hard to teach that stuff when you're grieving and life is really tough. But anyway, we found a way to try that out. But now she hates that song and that saying. Sometimes you got to let some sayings go. I hope she won't hate the Rolling Stones forever, but that one stopped working for us. So it's out of our regular rotation. I don't use that one so much. I will file that under mantra gone bad or expired slogan. I pull it out every now and then, and we both have a chuckle over it. Okay. I'll add that sometimes in widowhood, especially in grief, when people say things, it might not sit right with you, and it can feel really hurtful and offensive. Even if they are not trying to be hurtful, but they're trying to be helpful with these sayings, sometimes it can really hurt. Really try not to take it personally. Most times, people really don't know what to say, and common phrases can really suck. This changed for me with time. Things that I was really passionate and upset about, um, over time, it became less, and I was able to see things from others' perspective. And there's lots of books and talk about those kinds of things out there too. Okay, we're just about coming to the end, so I have a few more things for you. Sharing is caring, also one of my favorite sayings that I use to help me be in a positive mindset and share information. It's one of my natural habitats. I love sharing information with people. If you can benefit from my knowledge, I love to share. So please share with the Facebook group. If you use mantras or motivational slogans or sayings, or if you're trying one out, feel free to share your story of using these mantras or sayings or slogans in our Facebook group, or send me a note. Don't forget, also share them with your friends in your close circle. Okay, uh, here's a few more examples of motivational sayings that resonate with me, especially over the loss of a spouse. One day at a time. I am stronger than I think. With each breath, I find peace. I honored my loved one by living fully. Some examples of mantras and slogans I use with my daughter, just go through a list here. Have a snack and a nap. If I'm tired or I'm hungry, I am no good to anyone. So that's a good one for me. Uh, you can do it. I believe in you. So this one is what my daughter says to me. And even though sometimes she says it sarcastically, it can really put me in the moment if I'm worrying about something or think I can't do it. And just knowing I'm not alone is super helpful. How about this? You know this. Say that when you're like thinking about stuff. Or you are better than everyone else. You can do it. Maybe you don't say these out loud with everyone, but they might be good for you. Whatever gets you through it. You've done this before. You've been here before. One day at a time. That one, I can't use that one enough. Also, easy does it. or as my mom likes to say, calm down. That one I don't like so much. 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 5 minutes at a time. When those days are long, just break it down into smaller, manageable chunks. Also, F it. Frig it. Who cares? Don't take it personally. I also use the one, what would Paul do if I want to have a different perspective? And then when all else fails, try again. Okay, that was a lot of mantras and slogans and sayings, and clearly I enjoy them. But are you up for a challenge? I challenge you to look around you this week, today, and find a saying you can relate to. One that's positive and will help propel you to rebuild something in your life, even just something small. Write it on a piece of paper and put it where you'll see it during the day. Reach outside your comfort zone. And when you're in an uncomfortable situation or scenario during the day, dealing with your grief, dealing with life, look at your piece of paper and say your mantra. You got this. Play to win at using a motivational saying. So, when I lost a dear friend to a tragic accident this past fall, and I was really struggling with my grief again over this new loss of this really important member of my support network that kind of kept me going, I started writing down these things that got me through a lot of tough times in the past. I've written my favorite mantras and sayings into a book, so here's a little plug, called Fake It Till You Make It. And if you'd like to find out how to get a copy of the book, you can visit my website or reach out to me by email. I also currently host improv sessions. I got back to the theater, even though I thought I never would. And I offer consulting in using improv and theater techniques to help process grief. You'll find my next live session on Improv for Grief at Camp Widow, San Diego in July 2024 with my co-host, Melissa. In conclusion, motivational sayings and mantras can be very powerful tools in rebuilding purpose and finding some meaning after the death of a spouse. By embracing positivity and cultivating some resilience and connecting with others, you can navigate this grieving process with strength, grace, and hopefully a laugh or two. Please connect to share your thoughts and experiences and additional tips for using mantras and sayings to rebuild your life after loss. Thanks so much for spending this time with me on this topic. Embrace the journey, motivational mantras to propel your rebuilding process. And as we say in Team Cating, play to win. You are worth it.